Welcome to the next episode of the Sunny Sailors podcast. Sunny sails and tales coming your way right now. Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for coming around. This podcast coordinates with my YouTube channel, The Sunny Sailor, and episode number 130, which is called The Last Time I Will See My Boat. Forgive me. I'm going to get emotional during this. There's a lot to talk about, so let's get started. This episode starts with having the boat in Carriacou, which is a small island part of Grenada waters. And in Carriacou, they have a boatyard that has a great reputation for taking care of its boats, doing bottom jobs. We've had the bottom job done on music several times there, and have actually hauled out there during hurricane season before. We are preparing the boat to put it on the hard or in the boatyard on the boat stands so that we could do some traveling and go outside of the Caribbean. Kind of funny that we're taking a vacation and leaving the Caribbean. Well, that's how it works. I mean, we're full-time live aboard, so this is our home wherever our boat is, which is, yeah, we'll talk about that. So the boat is prepped so that we can feel safe about leaving the Caribbean and leaving our home, our boat. Eddie at that time been sober for the most part. He had had some slip-ups for 7 months at that time. His mood had not improved, and with me just wanting to have him smile or be happy, he was living in paradise. When asking what he would like to do during hurricane season, if he wanted to stay in Grenada, if he wanted to stay in Carriacou, if he wanted to go somewhere, the only thing that he said, the only thing he didn't say no to was going to England. So I started doing some research of how to travel to England on a budget. I had friends that were members of trusted house sitters. So I decided maybe that's the route. We can stay in people's homes, take care of their pets, and stay for an extensive amount of time and not cost us anything to stay. We would have to pay for our flights and pay for food, which is normal, and any entertainment, but at least our lodging would be free. I had friends that were members of trusted house sitters, and they told me about it. So it is vetted. They do background checks and also work on referrals. I started planning 7 months ahead of our trip to Europe, our house sitting gigs. I wanted to stay in certain places so I could see certain things. It was really easier than I ever thought it would be. There were so many places in Europe, also in the United States, that you could book. And so with my little spreadsheet, I was able to pick the dates and what part of England that I wanted to be in. And then with that, plan the perfect trip. We could end one, start one, and never have to pay for hotels. So this is our first visit to Europe. First visit going anywhere over in that area. And we were very excited. Leaving the boat, I had no idea when I flew out of Carriacou that it would be the last time I would see my beloved boat music. I had no idea what was in store for me. I thought Eddie was on a road to recovery and he was making progress and the boat was safe, and I had no idea. I really didn't. Boy, if I could have seen into the future. I don't think I would have done anything different, quite honestly, because it's the path that my life was supposed to take. So I'm okay with that. So once we flew to Europe, we needed to get around. And so we rented a car for the 3-month stay using Turo, a peer-to-peer. It was a lot cheaper than renting a car through big companies, and so I highly recommend them. It was very easy, and it was a decent car, no trouble with it at all, and I was happy with it. So this car allowed us to travel around England, and we also went to Ireland and make our engagements and drive to them. And it's easy enough to drive across England. I mean, it's a lot shorter than even driving halfway across the United States. So this car, rented through Turo, got us to our first house-sitting engagement, which was in Great Yarmouth. Great Yarmouth is on the eastern side and is part of the North Sea. I was very excited to put my feet in the North Sea. And Great Yarmouth is a place that a lot of seals hang out on the beach. And I don't know why, I just really wanted to see a bunch of seals. The two things I wanted to see while traveling through England was a lot of old stuff and marine life. And so Great Yarmouth allowed me to see seals and old stuff, which is what I wanted when I visited England. Old stuff. A lot of old stuff. Wanted old stuff. So Great Yarmouth was this kind of small town. It had, the seals were located on Horsey, no, that's not right, Horsey Gap. I'm trying to learn how to say it in the English way. Horsey Gap. And they also had a circus there, which was pretty amazing because it was the longest running circus in all of England. And it also had water and aerial silk. And I was thrilled with going to see this circus. It had been running continuously, never stopped for 100 and something years, maybe 125. It's a long time. And so that was kind of a fun treat that I didn't expect, making it to Great Yarmouth. And after Great Yarmouth, the next booking for Trusted House Sitters sent us south, which means we were passing by the Windsor Castle. Let's go to the Windsor Castle. Yeah. All right, the Windsor Castle was very beautiful architecture and quite ornate. It just wasn't my thing. It was a lot of pictures and paintings of old people. I don't know enough about English history to know how important they were, but I'm sure they're important to somebody. And maybe, I mean, there were hundreds of people there. So obviously it is a very important tourist location because there were a lot of people there. Just wasn't my thing. After going to visit, a very short visit to Windsor Castle, we continued on to Rowland's Castle, which is in the south part of England. In Portsmouth, I think I'm saying it right. We were able to visit the HMS Victory and see Lord Nelson's boat and see where he died on this boat. And that was really a very cool tour to be able to walk around this boat and see how small it was, considering all the people that were on these vessels traveling around. It was really quite small in the big picture boats and yachts. But it was fascinating history, and I really enjoyed touring the HMS Victory. There is a castle called the Porchester. No, that is not how you say it. The Porchester, I think that's right, castle. It's in Portsmouth. And it was built in 1120, I think. It was amazing. But the structures themselves were standing, and it was just beautiful. The view from the top, and the English did a really good job of keeping their heritage and keeping these castles and putting a lot of work and effort into making them able for me to view them and walk around and get to the dungeon. And I really enjoyed that castle because of knowing how old it was. It was pretty fascinating. And it made me see old stuff. That's what I wanted to say. Old stuff. We had friends that we met and named Jude and Graham, and they took us out in their little picnic boat. So in Portsmouth, we were able to do a little sailing on a little picnic boat to East Head, had a little picnic on the beach, and then we were able to watch the sailing races. It was really great to see our friends, and it was really great to see water again and sailboats. You kind of miss that stuff. After leaving Rowland's Castle, we went north. And one of the first things I wanted to arrange to see was Stonehenge. I am fascinated with the history of Stonehenge. How did the stones get there? How, blah, blah, blah. And I wanted to feel the energy. I wanted to see what all the talk was about. So part of this whole trip in arranging where we were going to stay was so that we could get that visit to Stonehenge. Kind of a disappointment. It's very touristy. It felt like I was going into Disneyland with all the buildings, and you watch a movie and then you pay your ticket and then you wait for this line 45-minute line to be able to get on the bus. And then you get on the bus and then you ride the bus to the stones. I think you could have walked maybe. I'm not really sure, but it was storming, raining. And then we get to the stones and it's gated off, so you can't get close. You can't put your hands on them. You can't touch them. And I was sad about that. I really wanted to sense that energy. And the stones were so far away, it was hard to even get an idea of how big they were because there was nothing to compare it to. You couldn't even, I mean, they could have been 6 foot high and you couldn't really tell. You couldn't get close. I understand protecting this beautiful national treasure, but I was kind of disappointed. It wasn't really what I was hoping to get out of that trip. And once I got to where I saw the stones, or from far away, I was like, okay, I saw them. And the excitement was kind of diffused and gone. But on the next episode, we will see what started from the Stonehenge. There was an evolution of adventure. You will see. Just wait. Stonehenge did cause something really wonderful to happen for me. And you'll see. We'll see. Now we're on to Bristol. Bristol was just beautiful. It was so quaint. It was old. It was lovely. We took a walking tour called Bristol, it was called Banksy and Blackbeard. Because apparently Banksy is from Bristol and he started doing his now very famous street art in Bristol. There's a long history of the politicians trying to tear it down, but now that he's become very famous and his works of art are worth a lot of money, now they want to be like, oh yeah, Banksy is from here, Bristol. But Blackbeard was also from Bristol, and they have a bar called the Hatchet. It has skin on the door. There's a story behind that. You can see that in the episode, but it was kind of cool to sit at a bar where Blackbeard the pirate used to hang out. That's really kind of cool. We also went to the Hole in the Wall, which is where Robert Louis Stevenson wrote Treasure Island. He sat in that bar and wrote this classic piece of literature. That was kind of cool. And it's called the Hole in the Wall because I guess the pirates were drunken and it was against the law to be drunk. I think it was. And so the military, the police officers, somebody would come to that bar and try to catch them. And if they sat where they could see through the hole in the wall, they knew that the popo was coming, and then they could hide their drinks or whatever they were doing. I'm not really quite sure what the hole in the wall was looking out for, but it's something they were looking out for. Maybe I should have read more of the history. Okay, I'm gonna read it after this, but you can read it yourself if you want to know. While we were in Bristol, we took a walk to the suspension. Well, no, we took a drive to the suspension bridge, and we saw the first observatory, I think it was. That was really neat. And then we went on to Blaze Castle. So when I'm finding some of these things on Google Maps, it just kind of says tourist attraction, and it'll show a picture of it, but you don't really know how to get to it sometimes. So we parked, and then there was no trail, there's no sign. We asked some kids. The kids were like, oh yeah, just go climb up that hill. And we're like, okay, it just looked like woods. It looked like a field and woods. Like, where do you climb up? So we start climbing up, and I was out of breath. Like trying to climb up this hill. Made it up there, very excited. It said they had a cafe. It said the cafe was open. Get there. Knock, knock, knock. It's closed. All boarded up. Can't get in the can't get in the castle. Can't get a cafe, can't get lunch. But it was still a beautiful castle, even though I couldn't get in. Blaze Castle. I really like it. If you ever go there, remember, park the car, go across the field, find the woods, just start climbing up in the woods, and there it is. I also found on the same grounds as the castle, they had the Robbers Cave. That was kind of cool, going inside there and see where the robbers would hang out, I guess. It's called the Robbers Cave. And then they had the Giant's Footprints, which is a series of rocks that were supposed to look like giant footprints. I don't know. Are they drinking a lot? I don't know what would make you think that, but hey, you know, you didn't have television back there. You didn't have YouTube back then. So you had to have entertainment anywhere you could find it, right? Right. Through a trip on a train, day trip to Bath. I really wanted to see the bass. I thought, okay, this is a big part of history. They discovered these bass from Roman times. I was kind of disappointed. I don't know what I thought I was going to see, but they dug up the bass, but then they recreated the bass and they put up statues that weren't up back then. So you were kind of seeing old stuff, but a recreation of old stuff. You couldn't get in the bass. You couldn't touch the water, which is supposed to have the healing properties. Same as Stonehenge, healing properties, right? Why do I want healing? Well, I wanted healing properties because I had a mammogram and they discovered that something was a little sketchy, and I wasn't aware of that until I actually made it to England and got the results of the mammogram. So during this time, I was trying to find a doctor that could redo the mammogram. Since then, I found out the boobs are okay. They're fine. Yay. But during that time, I jokingly said I was looking for healing everywhere. So I didn't find it at Stonehenge because I couldn't touch the damn stones. And I didn't find it in the bath because I couldn't touch the water. But it turned out it was okay anyway. So maybe the energy worked because my boobs are fine. The next part that we will be traveling to is Church Stretton. Church Stretton is in the Shropshire Hills. Stunningly beautiful. Did a drive through the Mynd, M-Y-N-D, and it was just one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. It was gorgeous. The mountains, the colors, the wild horses. It was beautiful, beautiful drive in the Mynd. And the house that we were staying at in Church Stretton was equally beautiful. The view out the back was of the Shropshire Hills. And the animals that we were taking care of, there was sheep, there was dogs, cats, chickens, and ducks. Love that. I'm probably a bit of a farm girl. I had a farm growing up when I was a kid. Yeah, I had to have 4-H animals to show. Funny story about it. You want to hear the story? Okay, so when I was a kid, I was probably about 12, my family said, okay, you have to have an animal to show for 4-H. So I was like, okay. So they gave me this cow. The cow was named Calamity Jane. I loved her. She was beautiful. Like, I would hang out in the field. I would make little clover necklaces, put flowers in behind her ears. I loved her. So the first time it came time to show her, whenever cows go in a show ring, they have a cow stance, like 2 feet in the front is straight and the back leg is like sticking out to show their best cowness, right? And you walk in a circle around the judge in the middle, and then you stop the cow. Well, Calamity Jane took about, 10 steps into this ring and just froze. She wouldn't move. So I kept pulling her. I was pretty strong. I was a good dancer back then. And pulling as hard as I could. And she fell over. And she's laying on her side with a big cow eyes. And I'm pulling as hard as I can. And she is not getting up. The audience is roaring with laughter. I was so embarrassed. I'm like 12, right? My dad, love him, hero, comes out of the audience to try to help me. And he takes the cow and he takes the legs of the cow and flips the legs over to the other side. Now, cows don't like to be on their back. So he flips the legs over to the other side, and the cow just laid there on the other side. I can't believe it. So, everyone's laughing. The other cows are having to go around Calamity Jane to continue their parade around the judge. Needless to say, Calamity Jane didn't win. So I brought her back. I talked to her about how betrayed I felt about her falling over. And she was, I don't know. She was a cow, right? Then next time, I had to take her into the ring again. She did the same thing. Pull, 2 steps, fall over, can't get up. Other cows, I was done with her. I was mad at her. She betrayed me. I loved her. I don't know. There was something not right with her. My sister told me later, there was something not right with that cow. That was not actually your fault. So then my parents were like, okay, we're not going to give you a cow to show. We're going to let you show pigs. So pigs are more chaotic, and the judge is in the middle, and they just kind of move around and wander around, and, you kind of herd them kind of in front of the judge. Well, my pig won, champion boar. My parents were like thrilled. That meant that all the lineage and all the offspring from this pig would be valuable, way valuable, worth a lot of money. So it was a thrilling thing. So here I am. Now I'm like 13, maybe 14. I win. So the trophy was huge. The monetary prize was large. And they took a picture of me, and I'm shaking the judge's hand, holding my trophy, smiling. Really big. And the pig turns at the last minute. And pigs' boars have very large male parts. So that's the picture. That's the picture that was taken. It went in the paper. Me smiling, here's my trophy, and the pig. So my mom thinks it's great and turns it into my first year of high school, turns it into the yearbook. So now the picture that I'm mortified about is now in the yearbook. Fast forward 30, 40 years later, my mom, love her, bless her, passes away, and we're going through her stuff. And I was number 5 of 6 children. So there aren't a lot of photos of me, especially in, hanging on the walls and stuff. That's a lot of kids, a lot of photos, right? What do I find? The picture of me with the pig is in a frame. My mom framed that picture. I was a professional dancer. Like, you couldn't put a picture of me dancing? Like, wouldn't that have been proud? No. That's what made it on the wall in my mom's house. In a frame. Anyway. That's my story. I really liked going to Church Stretton and playing with the animals. It made me happy. I loved it a lot. After Church Stretton, we took the car and went up to Liverpool. Now, what is there in Liverpool? Everything's about the Beatles. Eddie was a big Beatles fan. I could take it or leave it, quite honestly. But I wanted to make him happy. So we did all the Beatles tours, went to see all the Beatles things, Beatles, heard Beatles music till I wanted to freaking cheat myself. It was a nice visit, if you like the Beatles. But then we get ready to get on the ferry to take the car to Ireland. And that's going to be the next episode, talking about Ireland and the fun things that I did there. And spoiler alert, I had giant birds of prey sitting on me. I saw so many old things, and things even better than Stonehenge. I can't wait to make that video and share that with you. I didn't know I was never going to see music again. Yeah. It's weird how you really have a love for your boat. It's a deep love. It's a serious love. It's an unexplainable love. And I love this boat. And I think I probably would have had a better goodbye if I'd have known that I was never going to see her again and that something bad was going to happen to her. I didn't know. When I made this video and I saw putting her on the card, and kind of makes me sad to think I just had no idea I was never going to see her again. I had no idea. My life changed dramatically. Dramatically is an understatement to say. After I left my boat, the things that happened and my life changing. Make sure you come back again for the next episode of Sunny Sails and Tales. Also to check out my YouTube video. Coming up next will be the next video in my series about traveling to Europe. Just one more, and then I'm back to making those videos in the Caribbean. Or am I? Well, you kind of see them in the Caribbean now, right? Spoiler alert, I do make it back to the Caribbean. Thanks for listening. Please come back again for Sunny Sails and Tales by the Sunny Sailor. Bye.